How to find your most fulfilling career using astrology. If you're looking for your highest potential in the chart, this video is for you. Today, we're going to talk about two different categories of points in the astrology chart. First, we're going to talk about the planets that represent our personality, what we are like, because the kind of career that makes us happy does depend upon what kind of person we are. And then we're going to look at some of the other points in the chart that are more specific to career and skills, fields we might be likely to go into. So the first thing is our sun, moon, and rising. So our sun and moon in particular are 2 points that are very important for our personality, but they're not as important for like what we're going to do for a living. However, they still are worth considering because we can't ignore the needs of our sun and our moon. And usually we're naturally drawn to the things that our sun and our moon represent. And the sun is going to be where we shine. You know, if you know where you shine, you can focus that energy in your career, whether it is directly related to what you do or not. And the moon is what you need to feel okay. So if you're not feeling okay in your job, well, maybe the needs of your moon aren't being met. So the first thing is the sun. The sun tells you what your life revolves around. It tells you what you are going to focus in on, what kind of energy you're going to go after. And it is going to tell a little bit about your natural role and some of the things you want in life. Some of those things are going to be career and sometimes they are not. The moon is going to tell us your emotional needs, what you need to be okay. And it's especially useful for career when we're thinking about what kind of career environment you thrive in. Would you rather have privacy? Would you rather be able to daydream a little? Would you rather have a career that's action oriented where you get to physically move? Would you rather inspire people? These are all things that the moon can show us. So now on to the rising. The rising sign is going to tell us your approach to life, your approach to work, your approach to just how you make your mark on the world, right? How you go forward. When you walk into a room, what are you like? How do you react to that room? Or are you the one making the impact? You know, are you a Sag rising and you walk in the room and you're like, I'm here. And the whole energy changes when you walk in. Are you more of a Taurus rising? And when you approach things, it's about comforting people and kind of taking it all in. All of these different risings are, wonderful for different things. But one of the things you can think about is your rising sign masculine or feminine? If your rising sign is masculine, so that's going to be the masculine signs, the air or fire signs, then you're more likely to do work or have a role in life where you're going to be the one making impact on the other things. So better at starting, better at initiating, better at sort of pushing things forward, getting other people to do things, being the leader, directing things. Whereas a feminine rising sign, now that's going to be the earth signs and the water signs, they're going to be more likely to receive. So fields that require listening or gathering data or taking in information, or you're more of a receptive influence. This does not mean you can't produce things if you're of those signs, but you're more likely to take all the things in and then put it out than you are to just put things out. So let's compare Gemini rising to Virgo rising. Gemini rising is the masculine sign ruled by Mercury. So that means they're going to disseminate information. Gemini risings are just going to tell people stuff, or they're going to be going back and forth. So you can see Gemini risings in fields like Uber driving, or like just telling people stuff, or like announcers, or things where you don't have to dissect the information. You just broadcast it, and you broadcast it in all directions. Whereas like a Virgo rising is more likely to be in a role where they are taking in a bunch of data and then they're consolidating it and only keeping what is most useful. So like cleaning up spreadsheets or just learning something and then writing ebooks, but through gathering data and then, maybe measuring that data or analyzing that data and then keeping only what's essential. So now there are many different jobs, Gemini and Virgo rising can do. These are not the only ones. But if you understand your rising sign, you're going to understand your natural approach to work and what kind of roles you'd be most comfortable in. Are you going to be the one, in front of the crowd? Or are you going to be the one behind the scenes? We can see a piece of this indicated by your rising sign. So now let's talk about the career houses. There are houses in the chart that tell us about career, and they're the second house, the sixth house, and the 10th house. The second house is your money house. The sixth house is your house of daily work. And the 10th house is the house of your career, your public life, your role in life. Now, for some people, that 10th house isn't their job. It's something else they do. But for most of us, it's our career. The second house of money is going to tell you how you approach money. It might tell you what you're likely to need financially. So, do you need more security? Or do you need more risk? We're going to see that by the second house. Do you care a lot about owning stuff, or do you not care? Do you want to focus on money, or do you want to avoid it? Do you have a desire for wealth? And if you do, that's not wrong. You can have a desire for money on this channel. Or are you a minimalist? Do you have a love-hate relationship with money? Do you want, the biggest transformation when it comes to money? Are you obsessed with selling things? Whatever your relationship is with money and things, you're going to see that in that second house. Now on to that sixth house of work. Now this is our daily schedule. What we do from the minute we wake up till we go to bed are routines. So can you handle a 9-to-5, or do you need more freedom? Would you excel in an environment where you're doing something different every day? Are you going to be happier in a job where you work a lot of hours, or would you rather work less hours? Is your energy, the way you approach your daily life, more consistent and fixed, or does it vacillate back and forth? Are you a workaholic or not? And do you care about being of service to other people? Is that a huge motivator for you or not? We're going to see that all by that sixth house. Going on to the next one, which is the 10th house. The 10th house is your career. It's your public life. It's your working personality, the person you are at work, and it describes your career. So, it's your public image. It's your work in the world. So are you going to be speaking? Are you going to be doing art? Are you going to be helping people transform their lives? Are you going to be initiating something? Are you going to develop software? I mean, we can see all these things by that sign on the 10th house in terms of what you're likely to do. And the planets might also tell us, if you have planets, it's okay if you don't have planets there. But like what you're likely to do in work, what kind of field you might be in, what kind of things you might do in that field. So in order to understand your career, you have to put all of these together. You can't just look at one. You need to see kind of the whole picture in combination with the personality. Now, there are a couple other houses that can relate to money, and they are the 8th house and the 11th house. The 8th house relates to other people's money, shared resources. So this is going to be like anytime your money is mixed with someone else's. So this can be investing. This can be if you're in a field like accounting or something where you manage other people's money. And it can also be if you are the person who gets money from a partner, like if you're the one in the relationship that is receiving money from the partner who's working, your 8th house is going to tell you about that too. Or whether you can do that or whether that's likely to happen in your life. That's also seen by the 8th house. And then we have the 11th house. Now the 11th house becomes a money house because it is the second house from the 10th house. And in astrology, whenever it's the second house of anything, that's the money of that thing. So like the 3rd house represents your siblings. So if you want to see your siblings' money, you can look at the 4th house and read it as your siblings' money. Now, to keep on topic though, the 11th house is second from the 10th. So it represents money you make from the work you do. It's another place we can look to understand more about kind of your money story and how money might more naturally flow into your life. Now we have some more planets to talk about. We're going to talk about Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, and Venus and how they relate to work. Jupiter is not really a career planet, but it is the greater benefic. It is the best planet in the chart, really. And it shows you where you can get lucky and where your blessings are. Now, for some people, that's not always going to be related to money. It might be related to something else. If you're trying to monetize a skill or a gift that you have, understanding what your Jupiter is and making sure that Jupiter energy is involved with it may help you to get lucky or have growth. You can see what area, just based on Jupiter and Venus alone, what areas of life may go better for you. So this is one to be careful not to overemphasize. Even though Jupiter is a greater benefic, it doesn't mean everything you touch will turn to gold, right? Your Jupiter may not be in the best place in your chart. It might have some challenges. Sometimes Jupiter areas of life are areas of life that can go better for us, but that doesn't always cause huge blessings. Let's say you have your Jupiter in the 6th house. This means that you could work more, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get something from that work. Don't overemphasize Jupiter, but consider it as an extra gift or skill that you can use and double down on. The next planet is Saturn. Now, Saturn is the greater malefic. It's the worst planet in the astrology chart. If you know where your Saturn is, you can achieve mastery. If you know where your Saturn is, you can work harder for that thing. And when you work harder for a thing, you tend to be better at it than people who it just came naturally for. So understanding what area of life that is can kind of help you see which skill set may come more slowly at first. But if you've doubled down on or work hard on, you could become very, very great at. Saturn is where you have the potential for greatness, but you have to do the work all the way. You can't cut corners. Saturn will only reward you if you've done the work all the way to deserve that thing. So when we're considering Saturn, we need to think about it in terms of, if you want to be masterful at something, you want to be the greatest at something, consider where your Saturn is and make sure that energy is incorporated into it. So now let's talk about Mars and Venus and how they relate to career. Mars is going to tell you how you get what you want, how we approach our mission in life, and how we approach achieving our goals. Are you going to be able to go out and get what you want? Can you easily get the job you want? Can you interview well? Can you sell? Can you go any kind of activity that involves going out and getting it? Mars is ruling that. So even if you have Mars in a sign where like the way that you go out and get what you want is through avoiding it or sidestepping it or, making sure other people are okay first, still understanding how to work with that Mars and how to get the most out of it is essential for having a good life, but also a good career, because whether you're going to work for yourself or someone else, you need Mars. You need your Mars to be working for you so you get what you want, so you don't get walked all over, right? In your job or in your life. So you can have boundaries so you know when to say no. And again, how to kind of like make your mark on the world and what you need to kind of act, what's your aligned action towards getting what you want. Then going on to Venus, Venus is going to tell you more about money. Venus is going to tell you more about the condition of your finances and about your ability to receive. So in order to really have your most aligned career and your most aligned life, you need to be able to take when you need to and say no when you need to, but you also need to be able to get, to receive, to let it be easy to, if you get a raise, say, yeah, okay, I will take that raise. The condition of Venus can help us see, is that going to be easy or hard for you? Now, some people, it could be too much where you're receiving too much. You're too in that feminine energy. You need to add some of that masculine energy to go out and get stuff. For other people, it might be flipped where you're doing too much and you're not letting enough come to you, right? I can relate to that. But we can see all of this when we're looking at Mars and Venus, a lot of it. We can see a lot of our ability to give and take, and whether those things are balanced, which one of those planets wins, because usually Mars or Venus will be stronger in a chart. So we can also see which one of those energies we can kind of work on more in order to step into our highest potential, career or otherwise. And now we're going to go on to one of my favorites, which is the midheaven. So the midheaven is the point at the top of the chart, and it represents your highest potential. The midheaven is very, very important for career, so important that I have a whole video explaining your midheaven through the signs. But the midheaven is going to tell you what your highest potential is in career, what you're most likely to be known for and recognized for, even if it's not a part of your personality, because your midheaven, it's an important point for career, but it doesn't describe who you are. It tells us if you do this energy, if you act this way, if you act like this sign when it comes to career, or you do a career in the fields that this sign represents, you're more likely to be recognized for it. People are more likely to appreciate you. Now, you don't always get to choose, you don't get to choose your midheaven. So it's not always the thing you're most passionate about. And this is where you can use your chart to really align to your highest potential, because it might be something you don't love doing, but by stepping into that energy, it allows you to create the life you've always wanted. So it's one of those things that it helped me a lot. And it really matters that we understand what our midheaven is so we can do that thing more and get more of the results. When you act like the sign of your midheaven, people usually like it. People usually want more of that from you. And again, you don't get to choose what it is. It might not be something that you aspire to. It might not be inspiring. But when you can at least know what it is, then you can do it more and you can get more of what you want out of life. You can step more into that role that we could say the universe maybe has carved out for you. It's right there. That role that the universe sort of has carved out for you is there and it's kind of waiting for you. And no one else can do it the way you can do it. So stepping into your midheaven can tell you that. And I have a whole video. You can click the link below if you want to get in on it. It's free and it tells you what your midheaven sign means for your career. And it goes into every sign of the zodiac. For each sign, it tells you the archetype. It tells you what not to do. It tells you what field or area to focus on. And it tells you how to apply it to your life. It can help you to use your astrology to create that more meaningful career because you'll kind of know. It's like you'll have this guidance for what the universe is sort of helping you grow into, or what you could say life is sort of encouraging you to grow into, even if it's not in your comfort zone, because there is something that you are here to do that only you can do the way you do it. And this is going to help you get one step closer to what that is. So click the link below to get it, and I will see you all in the next video.